Wow, you're just as beautiful as your portrait. Itowan couldn't help but say out loud. What? Efosa asked puzzled. Oh, nothing, you look beautiful, Itowan replied, trying to cover her slip up. Did the poison mess you up in the head? Efosa asked mockingly. Itowa caught on, but she didn't really care. She was used to being talked down to. Hours later, Itowan decided to go on the stroll with Kiki. As she approached Efosa's room, she heard hushed voices. Just then, she heard the doorknob rattle and decided to hide to avoid a confrontation with Efosa. She hid only to see Enkay, the guard from her day out of the palace, exit Efosa's room. He looked around and for a minute, Itowan was scared he would see her, but then he left. She hurried off, noting that today wasn't a good day for a stroll. Something felt off. What would Enkay, a guard, be doing with Efosa, she pondered. Despite the uneasy feeling gnawing at her, Itowan brushed it off as she continued her stroll with Kiki. The palace grounds were peaceful, but her mind was anything but calm. Thoughts of Efosa and Enkay's secretive conversation plagued her mind, refusing to be ignored. As she wandered aimlessly, lost in thoughts, Itowan stumbled upon the palace gardens. The vibrant colors and sweet scents of blooming flowers offered a brief respite from her worries. Kiki hopped around, chasing butterflies with unrestrained joy, his antics bringing a much-needed smile to Itowan's face. But her moment of tranquility was short-lived. As she turned a corner, she came face to face with Enkay, the palace guard, whose mysterious actions had piqued her curiosity. Princess Isoke, Enkay greeted her with a respectful nod. Though there was a hint of something unsettling in his gaze, Enkay, Itowan replied, trying to keep her voice steady, despite the unease knotting in her stomach. What brings you to the gardens? Enkay inquired, his tone polite but guided. Just taking a stroll, Itowan replied casually, though her instincts screamed at her to tread carefully around this guard. Enkay's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer before he excused himself. As he walked away, Itowan couldn't shake off the feeling that he was hiding something that could hold the key to unraveling the mysteries surrounding Isoke's poisoning and her own strange connection to the princess. As Itowan continued her stroll through the palace gardens, Prince Nosa unexpectedly joined her. With a warm smile, he greeted her, his eyes bright with genuine affection. Itowan's heart fluttered at his presence, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of comfort wash over her. It's okay. What brings you out here? Prince Nosa inquired, his tone gentle. Just needed some fresh air and a break from the palace walls, Itowan replied, smiling back at him. You were always the indoor type, Nosa smiled. I'm glad you're finally getting out more. They walked side by side, enjoying the tranquility of the gardens, with Kiki the bunny hopping along beside them. Prince Nosa reached out to stroke Kiki's soft fur, earning delighted squeaks from the little bunny. He's adorable, Prince Nosa remarked, his eyes twinkling with amusement. He's a handful, but I wouldn't have it any other way, Itowan replied, laughing softly. As Itowan continued her stroll with Prince Nosa, her mind raced with suspicions about Enkay and Efosa. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were somehow involved in Isoke's poisoning. That night was restless for Itowan, as she kept having dreams of the underwater experience with Isoke. She woke up at dawn and decided to go on a stroll. For reasons unknown to her, she found herself in the palace library. Fascinated by the collection of books they had, she began to skim through books that had interesting covers. She stumbled upon a hidden compartment behind one of the bookshelves. Inside, she discovered a journal, and as she skimmed through it, she realized it belonged to Enkay, the palace guard. Curiosity piqued. Itowan began to read. What she found within the pages shocked her to the core. In the journal, Enkay detailed his role in poisoning Isoke, under the orders of Efosa, Isoke's jealous older sister. They had conspired together to eliminate Isoke, clearing the path for Efosa to marry Prince Nosa, as she had always had her eyes on him. Itowan's hands trembled as she read Enkay's chilling confession. How could Efosa do such a thing to her own sister? Determined to expose the truth, Itowan gathered her evidence and made her way to the throne room, where King Olise and Queen Omoraye were having their breakfast, with Efosa and some maids still serving the food. The maids just reported you weren't in your room, Queen Omoraye said with concern in her voice. With a trembling voice, Itowan reviewed everything she had discovered, laying bare the treachery of Enkay and Efosa. Shock and disbelief rippled through the room as her words sank in. King Olise's face darkened with rage as he listened to Itowan's revelations. Without hesitation, he ordered the arrest of Enkay and Efosa, declaring that they would face justice for their crimes against the royal family. As the palace guards escorted the traitors away, Itowan stood in the aftermath of her revelation. The weight of her discovery settled heavily upon her shoulders. She couldn't believe the extent of treachery between a family that seemed so perfect. Feeling overwhelmed, Itowan sought solace in her room, looking over the palace gardens from a balcony, where the gentle rustle of leaves and the soft fragrance of flowers offered her a moment of peace. With Kiki by her side, she tried to process everything that had transpired. Suddenly, she felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if her consciousness was being pulled into a realm beyond her understanding. In a swift moment, Itowa found herself in a trance-like state, standing face to face with Isoke. Isoke, Itowa whispered. Isoke replied softly, I wanted to thank you, Itowa, for vindicating me and exposing the truth. You have done what I could not, and for that I am forever grateful. I wish for you to live a life free from the shackles of deceit and betrayal, Isoke continued, her voice filled with warmth and compassion. May you find the strength to sink vengeance against those who have wronged you. Itowa nodded, feeling a surge of emotion as Isoke's words washed over her. The spirit of the princess whose life she now inhabited. As Isoke seemed to begin to fade, Itowa asked, what relationship do you have with Omokaro? His laughter sounding like water washing over his shore. Isoke replied, I have a picture of his bare butt from where we used to play house as kids. I threatened him all the time. And just as quickly as the trance had begun, it ended, leaving Itowa standing alone in her room balcony again, overlooking the palace gardens. With a playful grin, she turned to Kiki and asked, So Kiki, why do you think Isoke's relationship with Omokaro is? Kiki blinked up at her, seemingly amused by her question. Itowa imagined Isoke's spirit rolling her eyes at her. Itowa couldn't help but chuckle at the thought. And so, as the sun set over the palace gardens, casting a warm glow upon the surroundings, Itowa took a deep breath and prepared herself for the adventures that lay ahead. The end. Or is it just the beginning of another chapter in Itowa's awakening?